Hi Janesville, welcome to Park Place Views, brought to you by the City of Janesville and JATVMedia Services. I'm your host, Molly Nolte, and I'm the Management Information Specialist for the City Manager's Office in the City of Janesville. This monthly program aims to keep the residents of Janesville informed by highlighting the people, places, events, and partners in the City of Janesville. On last month's episode, I caught up with the wonderful Recreation Director, Shelley Slapak, who updated us on all things recreation coming into spring and summer of 2019. And on this month's episode, I'm happy to introduce the new Chief of the Janesville Fire Department, Mr. Ernie Rhodes III. Chief Rhodes was appointed to the Janesville Fire Department as Chief on March 25th, 2019. He was formerly the Operations Section Chief for the FEMA Urban Search and Rescue Blue Incident Support Team. He has a bachelor's degree in applied behavioral science and has served as the fire chief and acting city administrator of the city of St. Charles, Missouri, among other positions. Chief Rhodes has a total of 33 years as a professional firefighter and is still a licensed paramedic in the state of Missouri and has nearly 40 years in overall experience in fire service. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chief Rhodes.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight about yourself that I haven't mentioned already?
No, I think you covered everything
just
fine. Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So coming into the Janesville Fire Department as the new chief, what can you say are some of your top priorities?
So I think, first of all, I think the fire department is a very strong and good fire department, traditional fire department. And some of my top priorities are obviously to walk around and listen, find out what's going on, learn about the community, learn about the processes of the fire department. One of the most important things that I want to work on is, what is the team? Do we have a strong team? Are we mission-centered? Are we value-driven? And I'm in the process of looking at what the organizational dynamics are and the hygiene. And then the second priority would be, to build a really strong labor management initiative, working really strong with a local 580. And making sure that we're on this together and moving forward. And then finally would be tactically, are we tactically excellent in what we do as far as going out and serving our communities? So really busy. It's been a busy 3 weeks and I'm learning a lot. And as I say, I am drinking from the fire hose, which is kind of funny for me. But just excited to be here and just excited to see just the foundation that the fire department has.
Excellent. Well, welcome again. You obviously have a lot of the criteria that they were looking for the new fire chief position, and you've had quite a robust career already in fire service. Why did you choose a position in fire protection?
Well, so at a young age of 15 years old in my hometown of Deloge, Missouri, it was, I think, the last week of school. I was probably a sophomore in school, and a friend of mine asked, "What are you going to do this summer?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go fishing every day like I always did with my brothers." And he said, "Let's go to the local fire station and be auxiliary firemen." I'm great, let's check it out. So 2 weeks later, I came back and I looked at my mom and I said, "I'm going to be a firefighter paramedic," and then the rest was history. So, at 18 years old in high school, I was attending, not only at high school, but I went to a local community college, got my EMT license the week I graduated from high school, and then worked for an ambulance district where I lived, St. Francis County Ambulance District, and then went to paramedic school and drove one way 70 miles to St. Louis University and became a licensed paramedic, and then went to the St. Louis County Fire Academy, and I've been in the fire service ever since. So love it. I love it. It's a passion. I'm blessed to be a part of it.
Excellent. Well, we're happy to have you here. That's a great story. So a lot of people in Janesville probably already know how busy the men and women of the Janesville Fire Department are. Why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about what your crew does on a daily basis? So
Janesville Fire Department is not your traditional fire department of just running to fires and emergency medical calls. We really are an all hazards organization, which is critical for moving forward and addressing the changing needs of our community and its society. So some of the things we do, we have tactical paramedics that are attached to the Janesville Police Department SWAT team, which we know in a very difficult environment where there's an active shooter or violence, our paramedics are with the SWAT team to administer care to a patient or a victim if they get injured in a very dangerous situation, also to provide care to the police officers in case they get injured. And then we also do community car seat installations. We have a dive team. We have a technical rescue team. So it's more than just firefighting and EMS.
Excellent. And I think that a little bit later on in this interview, we're going to kind of walk around and meet some of those people that are behind that team. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than some of the things you've already mentioned, are there any other new developments that folks in Janesville might look forward to in 2019 for the department?
Well, like I said, I think it's a really good fire department, and some of the processes we're going to look at is just how we can streamline customer service, not only internal but external customer service, getting more out into the community. I mean, we're really busy, and the companies are running a lot of calls every day, so we've got to try to identify how we can get more involved in our community. We're already very involved, but there's always opportunities for improvement.
Mm-hmm. So most people are aware of fire trucks and ambulances, kind of the main apparatus that the men and women are using on a daily basis, but why don't we take a break and highlight maybe some of the more specialized equipment that people don't know about.
Let's do it.
Let's take a look.
Yes.
I'm standing here outside of Station 1 with firefighter paramedic Tyler Johnson. He's also the dive team leader for the JFD, and Tyler's going to take us through some of the equipment that the dive team uses when they have to get out on the water. So Tyler, what do we have here? What are we looking at?
So this isn't really a piece of dive equipment per se. This is more for rescuing people that are still on the surface of the water. This is a boat that's obviously it's got inflatable gunnels, so if it were to become swamped, say by a standing wave below a low-head dam or something like that, something that we have to deal with here in the city of Janesville, if it becomes swamped, it'll actually still float, and we can perform some rescues in some dangerous places that you wouldn't want to take, obviously, your normal fishing boat. So this boat is very important to us. This is the one that usually makes it out the door the quickest when we have somebody that's still on the surface and that we're going to be going to try to rescue before they go under the water, obviously.
How long has the JFD had this boat?
This boat's about 2 or 3 years old. It's newer to us. It's nice. We had an inflatable boat before this, obviously, but they don't last forever. So just like anything inflatable, they're going to start to leak over time. So we've had this one for just, like I say, 2 or 3 years, and it's been good to us so far. So.
Very good. And other than training with this piece of equipment, how many times do you say you'd have to take it out every year?
It goes in spurts. You know, sometimes we're out a couple times a month with it, and then sometimes, you know, obviously during the winter months, not as much, but it just depends on, you know, if people jump in the water, fall in the water, we get it out quite a bit depending on the situation. So.
Chief, what do you think is so important about a piece of equipment like this for the JFD?
Well, I think this boat is really important. It's very maneuverable, and one thing, it works really well in a swift current. Like if you see the flat bottom rescue boat that we also have, it's more of a dive platform, where this is an actual go and retrieve and rescue somebody in a very difficult, fast-moving environment. And like I said, it is inflatable, it's self-bailing. It can survive a standing wave where the other boat really doesn't survive a standing wave. Plus you can put rescue technicians on the sides, you can do quick turns to eddy out, to get out of the current, and then also to reach down and pick up a victim.
Excellent. Well, we've talked a little bit about this piece of rescue equipment. Let's move along and talk a little bit more about maybe what the dive team does a little bit more regularly. So we just walked up to this piece of equipment, and I didn't know its name, but I guessed it right the first try. I called it the banana boat, which is apparently what it's called. So Tyler, can you talk to us a little bit about what this is used for?
So the banana boat is a great piece of equipment for us for ice rescue particularly. This is something obviously that we can drag across the unstable thin ice and use to hoist a victim into. Use, you know, to rescue our own selves, I guess. But basically, this thing will inflate in about less than a minute. So if we have, you know, poor ice conditions and we have to go out and get a person who may have fallen through the ice, combined with our water rescue suits that we wear that provide some flotation for us, this piece of equipment, which is about 1.5 years old, makes it a much safer and more efficient quick operation, I guess.
So is there a motor put onto this, or it's just...
We're just dragging it along across the top of the ice. Usually we have 2 people that are kind of dragging it, and then they go in with their suits and grab the victim. And this open design of the bow and the stern here kind of allows them, we can slide this boat basically up to them, and then they can kind of scoot their body up onto this middle platform, and then we have it tethered with ropes, and we can pull it into the shore real quick and usually they're hypothermic by the time we get to them, so we can get them out and give them medical care.
And then I guess kind of what you were talking about with the other boats, since we have so much water in Rock County, I could see this coming in handy for, you know, the 6 to 8 months out of the year that the water's frozen around here.
Yep, it's helped us out a lot, and like I say, we've just had it a couple of years, but we've already put it to good use. So.
Excellent. Chief, did you use anything like this at any of your other departments, or is this a first for you?
This is actually the first for me. We didn't have the frozen weather as much as we do up here, so it was the ice suit and then just crawl across the ice. But definitely great application. I think you can also use it in different swiftwater rescue scenarios too. If you need to string a high line over a vehicle and send the boat out to create a safe flotation device for the victims, you could do that too. I think the point I want to stress here is right tool for the right job. You know, just because it's in water doesn't necessarily mean you have to use this boat or that too. You have to use the right boat to make sure we can effectively protect our people and make a good rescue and save our folks that are in the water.
So what would you use a boat like this for?
Well, this boat we will use for searching. Like I say, we usually get the rubber boat in the water right away in case we have to scoop somebody off the surface, but this boat also can be used as a search boat. Obviously we can't use it in some of the extreme conditions that we can use the inflatable boat in, but often we'll use this boat. This is our primary boat for when the dive team needs to do an operation. So once our victim has sunk below the surface, we still have about an hour of time that we can you know, reasonably make a save and resuscitate somebody. So usually while we're going to rescue them, we're getting ready just in case the person goes underwater. We'll have divers ready to go and do a search for them. This boat is great for diving. We can get a lot of our heavy equipment in there and the extra personnel that we need to perform a dive operation. So not as maneuverable, but definitely a great platform, a great safe platform for us to do a dive operation from.
And when you take this out on the water, how many personnel do you usually have in the boat at one time?
Well, we usually have 3 divers and a boat driver and 2 tenders, 2 line tenders we call them. Usually if we're diving, especially in current or anytime we're diving, the diver is going to be tethered to a rope. So the line tender is his link to safety, keeps track of where the diver is and makes sure that they do an effective search pattern to cover the entire bottom and make sure that we've searched completely the area that we're looking in. So.
Well, I think this is a good time to kind of segue into some of the other dive equipment. I understand that recently the department has received a donation of some new dive equipment, especially in terms of being able to communicate between the divers and the people on the boat. So why don't you take us over the truck and show us some of that equipment? Sure. Okay, Tyler, we're standing with one of the rescue vehicles here. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in this compartment? A lot of the stuff looks like it's dive team related.
Yeah, so like I said, once we have a victim that's gone underwater, we have a limited window to make a rescue before it becomes a recovery operation. So we have a vehicle here that we have all of our equipment on, and we can deploy our divers quickly. We have our kits. They're kind of one size fits all. Obviously we're going to be wearing exposure suits, either wetsuits or dry suits depending on the weather, but we'll don one of these. We use a full face mask while we're diving, so it's a little different than what you would use recreationally to go diving. Having an airspace in front of your face obviously allows you to talk. So we have a communications system that we recently purchased with grant money from Firehouse Subs, and basically it just works like a two-way radio, but it's on all the time. So every little noise I make underwater, they can hear topside. So if something happens, you know, they'll have a good idea. I'll be able to communicate to them what the problem is. Before we had the communication system, we used to just use a system of rope pulls, which is very limited, obviously. If I give them 4 tugs, they know I'm in trouble, but they don't know what I need. If I need air, or if I need you to come cut me loose from something I'm tangled up in, or whatever. So that makes a huge difference to our operations, both making it safer, obviously, and making it more effective, because if I have a problem with my search, if I'm not doing a very good search as a diver, the topside people can communicate that to me and tell me to keep my rope taut and cover my area better.
And so you said that this was purchased with a donation from Firehouse Subs. Can you talk a little bit about how important donations are and kind of what role they play, especially in some of this more specialized equipment?
So diving obviously is a very equipment-intensive endeavor. In order to, just even maintain and replace things that have worn out, it does require a fair amount of money. And then to add something big like a, almost $6,000 communication system, it'd be very hard for us to do without the help of, some of our local corporate helpers, I guess. So we've gotten grants. We got that one from Firehouse Subs. We've gotten them from Alliant Energy, Enbridge Energy, the Walmart here in town and in Beloit have both been generous, and then the Sam's Club here in town as well. So those things, we've been buying equipment to make our, operation safer with that money, and we actually have like a second air bottle that's kind of an escape bottle in case we have a problem with our primary regulator, basically. So we're getting safer all the time because of the help of those people. So.
Excellent. That sounds good. Well, we've got a lot of equipment going on here. What about the other side of the truck? Anything else you want to show us?
Sure. Let's go over there and take a look.
Great. All right, Tyler, we're on the other side of the truck now, so what do we have going on over here?
Well, anytime we have a dive operation, we want to have at least 3 people suited up. So we have our primary diver, that's obviously the one that's going to start our search. We have a backup diver that's going to be completely geared up and ready to go if the first person has a problem, if they need to rescue the first person. And then we have, just in case there's an equipment problem, the backup diver, we have to have somebody who's, we say 90% ready to go. So we have a 90% diver that's also ready in case, they're not able to, clear their ears, for example, and go underwater or have some sort of equipment problem. We have a backup for our backup. So over here on this side of the truck, we also have some of our exposure suits. We have our dry suits that are starting to age a little bit, so that's one of the things that we're trying to use some grant money to start replacing those and keep rotating new ones through. When those things have a leak, it can be a pretty uncomfortable situation in a big hurry. So we want to keep those kind of up to date and ready to go moving forward. So we have the dry suits, and then we have, obviously, just like any scuba diver might use in cold water, we have gloves, we have hoods, we have booties, all of our fins, obviously. A couple more dry suits, some wet suits. We carry, obviously, extra cylinders with air. If we're going to be doing a prolonged operation, we're going to need to switch out tanks and,
So what's the dry suits and the wet suits look pretty similarly. What's the main difference between the two?
So these, you're right, these are made of the same material. These are neoprene dry suits. We also have some that are like a vinyl, like a plasticky vinyl kind of thing. But the dry suits basically are, if they're working correctly, the zipper, if it's closed completely, and these seals, if they're making a good seal against your wrists and your neck, will keep any water from getting around your body, basically. So if we're diving under ice in the winter, or in spring conditions like this, the water's not much warmer than it was a few weeks ago. So anytime you're diving in real cold water like that, a dry suit is almost a must, really. So we can add air to our suit to kind of warm us a little bit, but it's still pretty cold. I mean, that ice water sensation on your face, I'm sure you know, is a little bit of a shock to the system at first, but it allows us to be able to do this even in winter.
So much going on with the dive team. Thank you so much for walking us through that. Is there anything else that you'd like to show us or talk to us about regarding dive team operations?
I don't think so.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, Tyler. Why don't we go ahead and move along to our next item, which I believe is car seat installation. Now we're going to be talking with Lieutenant Jamie Kesenick, and she is going to be telling us a little bit about a community program that you might be familiar with. It's our car seat installation program. So, Lieutenant, what is it about the car seat program that kind of makes it unique?
Well, obviously, everybody is out in their vehicles and they're transporting their children on a daily basis, and 1 in 3 children are killed in traffic accidents because they are improperly placed into either their car seat or not in any seat at all.
Wow.
So it's a great program to make sure that our little citizens are being taken care of as well. So.
Absolutely. How often does the fire department host these types of events? They're pretty often, aren't they?
Yeah, we hold them once a month, and then in addition we rotate. So 1 month it's from 8 to noon, and the next month it's from 2 to 6.
Oh, that's good.
And we do that so that we can accommodate working people who work second shift, third shift. This whole program was started actually with a grant from the DOT to establish us as a permanent fitting station. So we have car seats on hand so that if somebody comes in with the inappropriate seat, we're able to get them right on track right there, then and there, with the appropriate seat for their child.
I didn't know that. That's great. So when they come to this event, you said that there are, it's once a month, different times. Where is it hosted? Which station is it out of?
It's at station number 5, which is on the corner of Kennedy and Newport.
Okay.
That station has become the car seat station. People know it as that, and then we have a trailer out there that houses the car seats that we're able to provide to the people.
Okay, excellent. And I know that people, if they're interested in seeing when those events are coming up, we have them on the city calendar. The Janesville Fire Department's Facebook has it. The city's Facebook has it. We send press releases about it. What other ways can they learn a little bit more?
So just in addition to that, just that part of the program, we also work in conjunction with the hospitals with the prenatal classes.
Oh, good.
So all the prenatal classes at both the hospitals here locally have a flyer in their prenatal folder that they give them so that parents can be proactive and try to get here before the child's even born,
Right.
to make sure that they're ready to go home with the child. In addition, we work with the WIC programs here, not only in Janesville, but in Beloit or any other communities. And we are able to provide seats at little to no cost for those individuals who are part of the WIC program or low-income families.
Okay.
Get them the seats that they need as their children grow, and always making sure that they're in the appropriate seat and riding around safely.
Excellent. So if I needed to get some help with fitting that car seat, I would come to Station 5 on the prescribed day during that time. How much does it cost for you guys to fit that seat into my car for me?
This program is completely free to the citizens of Janesville and surrounding communities. It's not even just Janesville, but anywhere in Rock County. We've served Greene County, Walworth County, so we're not just Janesville. But then I will add that if somebody can't make the event, we can always try to make an individual appointment as well.
Wonderful.
And they can call the car seat hotline phone number that 608-921-3786 if they aren't able to make the event or they need to make an appointment for that event.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for talking to us a little bit more about the car seat community events that the JFD holds. That's such a great service to the community. We really appreciate that. And I think that you're going to talk to us a little bit more about hazmat now, too. So why don't we go ahead and head outside? We'll talk about the hazmat training that you do.
Sounds good.
So now we're back outside Station 1 here, and we're with Lieutenant Kesenick again. Jamie, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, we're standing in front of the hazmat trailer and you're on the hazmat team. So what does that mean to Rock County residents to have a hazmat team here at JFD?
So we have a capacity where some people have become hazmat technicians, and they are a part of this specialty team. And we have this vehicle right here that equips a lot of the equipment that we will use for a hazmat incident. Additionally, we have one other vehicle that goes with all the hazmat calls that's not here, but it's another trailer and a van that transports all the technicians to the incident, as well as our decon trailer is attached to that and has all of our decon equipment inside of it as well.
So Jamie, when you say hazmat, that means hazardous materials. So when this trailer gets dispatched and you and your team go out, what are you responding to?
It's a great question. There's lots of things here. First off, located in the Midwest, we have farms. And on farms, they have lots of chemicals to make their products grow and look nice and taste good for all of us to eat. And then we have a lot of rail coming through Janesville. We have 2 large chemical plants. And then the big thing that I think of is the interstate. We have traffic coming and going on the interstate daily. And we, at times, have no idea what's in that cargo. It can be from the very worst chemicals to something very simplex, but yet if it was involved in a traffic accident, we have that potential for those chemicals to mix. And that's a lot of times where we then get involved when those chemicals start to mix. But in and of themselves, they're perfectly safe for people to be around and use. But once they mix, that's sometimes where we get involved. And then just the household products too. Sometimes people get cleaning and they start to mix the household products, and we have incidents within the homes as well.
Okay. So you kind of said that you have no idea what you might be getting dispatched to on a daily basis. So how can you and your team get prepared for kind of the unknown of what could happen with hazardous materials?
Hazmat is a slow process because of the fact that we want to make sure that we, as the responders, that we are properly dressed for the situation that is presented in front of us. And so we have lots of different things that we use as far as testing devices, and then from there, there's research done as far as what we're seeing. Are we seeing chemicals in the air? Are we getting different readings on our monitors that would indicate that we need to step back a little bit farther? All those things play into it, and from there then it's determined what kind of suit individuals wear when we respond to those calls. Not only are we an asset to the city of Janesville, but anywhere in Rock County, and then we are also a state asset as well. We're a tier 2 team.
Okay. It sounds like a lot of training would go into becoming a member of the hazmat team. Do you guys have like hours that you have to hit or days of training? How does that work?
Unfortunately, there's not a set number of hours of continuing education that we have to do, but here at the Janesville Fire Department, we've implemented the fact that every 2 months we do some sort of hazmat team training. Because we are audited by the state, and there is a subset of JPRs that we have to be proficient in order for us to be able to perform as a state asset as well. So continuing education is a huge component to anything here at the fire department.
Absolutely. And in your experience as part of the hazmat team, how often do you have to go out or respond, or is it just kind of, who knows what's going to happen on a daily basis?
It really is who knows on a daily basis, but sometimes this trailer doesn't deploy for every hazmat incident. If you think of fuel spills within the community, a lot of times our single engine response will take care of those, but that truly is considered a hazmat incident. So where this trailer is deployed is those bigger incidents where we're having to make entry into a potential real hazardous area, and we had set up that hot, warm, and cold zone per se, so that we can operate safely in those zones.
Excellent. Well, Lieutenant, thank you so much for taking the time and explaining a little bit more about hazardous materials, what that training looks like, and what the team does not only for the people of Janesville, but also Rock County and the state of Wisconsin, all over the place. So thank you so much for your time. I'm standing back in the Central Fire Station Bay with firefighter paramedic Brian Barnish. He's also one of the medics on the tactical EMS team. They call it TEMS. And I think a lot of people probably think that police officers and firefighters maybe sometimes don't get along or kind of competitive between the two, and they might be right, but this is really kind of about the partnership between the JFD and the JPD. So Brian, tell us a little bit about what TEMS does and what all of this equipment is.
So what TEMS is we're basically a support asset to the Janesville PD SWAT team. What we end up doing is on more high-risk call-outs, we meet up with Janesville PD, and we're basically there to render care for any casualties that may occur in situations like that. So we're the medics. We go out with 2, possibly 3 medics to all these call-outs. And this is right in front of you is basically the gear that we end up taking with us. We have about 5 sets of the ballistic armor, as you see here, about 5 of our go bags here and here. And basically all this stuff was funded by donations. So we end up getting the call out where if we're available, we get to respond. And this is all the stuff we have to grab with us. So we can start with the comms if that's what you want. Sure. But these are the comms we use. We have our 2 radios with us, so 2 individuals who are going to either be with the officers or in the Bearcat, which most of the time we are. These are the headsets we use. We have radios that they hook up to so we can listen to and monitor all radio traffic. But these are also noise canceling. So in the event that there are loud bangs, sure. These clap close. But other than that, we can continually talk like normal to each other. So these are nice. The body armor we have here. This is what we all have to wear. So anybody who goes on the call out, this is the body armor we wear.
Wow.
Yep. So
heavy duty.
Yep, it's for stopping small handgun and rifle rounds. And then here's our ballistic helmets. Wow. So nothing too fancy, but
it looks pretty fancy, and it looks very expensive. And you mentioned that this came out of donations.
Yep, this was all donated. So we have, like I said, we have 5 sets of the body armor, and then 5 of the bags, and then each individual person on the TEMS team is issued their go bag. So this is more for our personal gear, our uniform that we wear, because we don't wear our dress blues. So each of the 9 members on the team each has one of these with their personal gear that we bring.
Excellent. So how long has the TEMS team been a thing? It seems like it's kind of a newer development.
It is, maybe in the last year to 2 years. So it is a newer specialty team for the JFD and along with JPD. So we're working through some stuff. This is a learning process for both Janesville PD and us. But like I said, it's a newer team. We go through, each member on the team, we go through about 40 hours of extra training. We do a tactical EMS training program. Actually, Mercy brings in the NTOA, and then they do our training. So to even be on the TEMS team, we have to go through another 40 hours of training on top of our paramedic training. Yeah, we do have to meet a minimum of 6 trainings with the officers. But we have a training once a month.
Okay, so once a month trainings. Can you just kind of walk through how maybe your most recent training went? What do you guys do when you get together and kind of run like drills or exercises? What does that look like?
Yep, so it's like any other trainer meeting. Usually we'll get together, they'll debrief on anything that's happened in the past month. We'll talk about a training outline, what we're going to accomplish for the day. Usually us as the medics, we get together and we talk about things. We talk about if there's anything we changed with the gear. Because like I said, this is a newer program, so this is still evolving and stuff like, and changing. So we'll talk about that stuff. Usually the officers and whoever is head of the SWAT team and the training for that day, they'll come in, they'll talk about what their objectives for the day are. So last month we were doing breaching, clearing rooms, dynamic entries and stuff like that. So we also do, we usually try to incorporate officer down drills like that, so we're working on our medical assessment and our medical skills at the same time. So usually the officers, they kind of do some of their trainings, and then we try to implement into that stuff as much as possible. So they were doing, like I said, they were doing room clearing, dynamic room clearing, and they're also evacuating officers, and they were actually doing approaches with the armored vehicle and stuff like that. So that was all pretty cool. So it's newer for me. I'm a newer member on the team, so that was my first training. So that was, it was pretty fun to be a part of that. So
let's talk a little bit about the go bag, you called it. What do we have in here? What kind of equipment are you working with?
So usually with any kind of trauma, and especially like this tactical casualty care, we do some advanced skills, but a lot of it is kind of like a basic skill. So like what we're doing is stopping major bleeds, taking care of any injuries to the chest area, and doing minimum amount of procedures for managing airway. So the biggest thing, like one of the biggest causes of injury and death are, obviously gunshots and stuff like that, or penetrating trauma. So a lot of the stuff is geared towards that. So we're doing wound packing, tourniquets. Tourniquets are a big thing. I mean, we're even using tourniquets more in daily EMS operations than just tactical casualty care. So we have our tourniquets, which is a huge go-to for any type of major bleeding. We have like smaller roll gauze for packing wounds. We do carry chest seals. We have pressure bandages, because obviously it's like, direct pressure on any type of bleeding wound. And then, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but our needle decompression. So anytime we're getting a penetrating chest trauma, sometimes what happens is you can get a pneumothorax, which is buildup of pressure in the chest cavity, which causes lungs to collapse and really hampers breathing. So we do needle a chest. So usually if someone's getting a chest seal, they're getting needle decompressed to help take care of that. So
I'm so glad that you do this and
Yeah.
I don't do this, because I could never do any of it. So it looks like really excellent stuff going on with the TEMS team. Really exciting that we have something like that here in the city of Janesville. And congratulations on the donations and just the development of the team. That's excellent. And it sounds like you and I are going to also talk a little bit about tech rescue. So why don't we go ahead and walk over there and we'll talk about that.
Perfect.
Now we're standing on the other side of the bay here at Central Fire Station. We're still with Brian, and now he's going to talk to us a little bit more about tech rescue. So I don't know anything about this trailer, Brian. What do you guys use this for?
So technical rescue is kind of another one of those specialty teams. With technical rescue, it encompasses high angle rope rescue. We do trench rescue, confined space, and some of the guys even have a little bit of a structural collapse rescue background with that. You can see it says State Line Technical Rescue. So back before I even started here, these departments on this trailer here made up the State Line Technical Rescue team. So in the event of a bigger incident, say like a grain bin entrapment or something like that, and we had to go to a MABUS card, these departments would come together and kind of help out and help mitigate that incident. But here in Janesville, this is our piece of equipment. We do have some equipment kind of distributed through the State Line area. So in our trailer here, we keep high angle rescue stuff and confined space stuff. Harlem Roscoe, they have the shoring stuff for trench rescue, and then Beloit has a heavy rescue squad with some additional equipment on it. But as far as Janesville, this is the piece of equipment we have. I'm actually the member that takes care of all the inventory and maintenance with this trailer. And we'll just go through and talk about some of the different things we have in it.
Sure. Okay, Brian, so this is kind of an overview of what's inside the tech rescue trailer. So talk to us a little bit about the type of inventory that you have and what you keep track of in here.
So a lot of what we have is geared towards high angle rope rescue and confined space rescue, which also encompasses the use of ropes. So we have a lot of harnesses. We have full body harnesses here. I don't know if you can see it, but these three bags here are basically our main rescue bags for high angle. So we set up a belay, which is basically like a safety line, and we have our main haul bag and stuff like that. So that holds all the equipment we would use for that. Stokes baskets, because if you have injured patients, patients who fall are trapped low grade, you gotta evac them with a Stokes basket or a sked. So we have a couple Stokes baskets, and these bins right along here on the which would be my left. Those are all rescue ropes. We have anywhere from 600 feet down to about 150 feet. So different lengths of rope, different scenarios.
Okay.
In the top here, which I can actually bring out for you too, we have kind of part of our confined space. So this is going below grade, anywhere there could be like low oxygen, health hazard atmosphere. This is kind of stuff we use that. So we have breathing air carts on the front that actually hold the bigger bottles. These are like an evac bottle that if something happens to our main air supply, we can get out of the environment in which we were in. We can get that with that, and that gives us about maybe 15 minutes of air, a little bit less. But we have a tripod down here too, and just numerous other equipment. We have helmets for numerous people. We have everything down to paper and pencil for taking notes and filling out forms for the incident. So that's basically the stuff we carry on this trailer.
And how often do you have to deploy this trailer?
Technical rescue is one of those specialty teams that it doesn't get called out all that much, but when we do, it's nice to have this stuff. So those are a little bit few and far between. We do train on this every other month. So actually, this month coming up, my next duty day, and then a couple days after that, we're going to be doing our tech rescue training for the month. We're working with some new pieces of equipment that we got from a donation. So we're going to be training some of the guys up on that new equipment, and we're also going to do a little bit of tower rescue, so evacuating people off of some towers if they have a medical emergency. So this is all extra schooling that you have to go to. This is, like I said, rope rescue technician, confined space technician, trench rescue technician. Those are all extra classes, and those are 4 or 5 day long classes. They're not just a couple hour classes to get those certifications, because those are certifications you have to have when you're performing some of this low frequency, high risk operations.
Right.
So
yeah, it sounds like a lot of work, but really important work too. Brian, anything else you want to talk to us about tech rescue?
I don't know. Do you have any questions about it? Anything in particular?
Well, yeah, I have one question. I know what that is, but what do you use rebar for?
Rebar so this is the rebar right here. That's for picketing or for setting up an anchor. When you don't have anything we can tie to, say, a tree for that matter. If you're doing a high angle rope rescue off a cliff or a bluff or something like that, you can use trees, big rocks as anchor. Sometimes in some areas you don't have that available. So what we do is we drive pickets into the ground, and then we tie back onto the pickets. So we put, say, 4 or 5 pickets in a row, tie them all together, and that's a strong enough anchor to hold for the operations that we'll need to do for that. So.
Well, that answered my question. Well, thank you, Brian, so much for your time, for talking to us about the technical EMS team and the State Line Tech Rescue trailer and everything that you do for that team. Okay, Chief, I just have a few more questions for you. First of all, thanks so much for having your men and women spend some time with us today and talk to us about the amazing things that the Janesville Fire Department is doing on a daily basis. It's pretty impressive to think that an organization this size in a city this size is doing all of these amazing things. So thank you so much
thanks for coming
for
by.
that.
Thank you.
So I just have a couple more questions. We're heading right into summer. Kids are getting off school. Maybe some parents are going to be taking some time off work, vacations, lots of holidays coming up. We've got Memorial Day and 4th of July and Labor Day. So can you give us any advice kind of on summer safety? How can we keep ourselves and everyone else safe over the summer?
Sure, there's a few items. Summertime, and it's going to get hot, and when we're having our infants and our adolescent children in car seats or in cars, make sure we're not leaving them in the cars and locked up during the summer times. Unfortunately, there's a lot of children that pass away because they're left in the car and they're exposed to that high heat. So, really slow down and remind yourself that maybe you've got your child in the back seat, especially if you come out of your routine. In summertime around the water and pool safety, always have, a partner at the pool and make sure that, you're swimming with an adult supervision. Drowning is silent. Nobody hears it. Yeah. So having eyes on your children is really important, and of course fireworks, right? This is a community that has a lot of fire load, has a lot of exposures to the threat of fire, and the threat of fire is real in the city of Janesville. And so When we're doing fireworks this summer, obviously follow the laws, adult supervision, make sure any combustibles are spread and cleared away. And you know, if you have any more questions for any safety this summer, please contact the fire department. We'll be more than glad to walk you through any safety issues or any educational opportunities we might have.
Absolutely. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for those helpful reminders. And the last thing I wanted to ask you was, if somebody was interested in pursuing a career in fire or a career in emergency services or being a paramedic, would you recommend that career path for them?
I would. I think it's an amazing career. I think there's no day that's going to be the same, but the technical requirements of being a firefighter paramedic today are pretty significant. As you saw today, swiftwater rescue, dive rescue, tactical paramedics in a violent, it was SWAT teams. The list goes on and on. So it's very technical, it's very complex, and I would highly recommend it as a career for any young woman or young man that wants to get in and serve their community. It's very rewarding. And if they need any advice, they can call me directly or just reach out and come in and we can talk about it and try to put them on a career path.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Chief, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the JFD or the work they're doing?
No, great team. You know, we're definitely committed to serve this community, and the men and women here every day come to work with a great attitude. And, you know, we're always looking to get better and find better ways to serve our community. So thanks for coming. We appreciate it. And if anybody needs anything, they can always reach out and contact us.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much again for your time, Chief. And welcome to Janesville.
It's good to be here.
If you have any questions for Chief Rhodes or the Janesville Fire Department, they would be happy to hear from you. Please refer to the contact information on your screen or visit the city's website. Thank you, Chief Rhodes, again for having us here at the beautiful Station 1 and telling us all things JFD. Really excited to have this hands-on look at what you and your crew do on a daily basis, so thanks for that. And thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in. Join us next month where we check in with the other Chief of Janesville, Chief David Moore of the Janesville Police Department. We'll be talking about summer safety and new and updated things that's going on with JPD. In addition to tuning into this program on a monthly basis, stay connected to the City of Janesville by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter, or signing up for our email press releases or emergency updates from Nixle. For Park Place Views in the City of Janesville, I'm your host, Molly Nolte. We'll see you next month, and thanks for tuning in.